The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. We have 12 years to turn this around. By the year 2030, that's just 12 years from now.
The future is closer than we think and is not good. There will be irreversible damage to the planet.
Time is running out to prevent global warming from reaching a...
This is AM 730 KQP, West Memphis, Marion, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee.
Get ready for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. For the next hour, we will forget about the black man, we will forget about the white man, and we will deal with the human. Pastor Andre Guy is here to answer your questions from a biblical perspective. He's an humble man who's on a mission to bring the church together with a Bible and a dictionary. He will tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help him God. And now, here's Pastor Andre Guy.
Well, good evening, members and the rest of the world. Welcome to another edition of The Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I'm Andre Guy Reed. Hey, Dwan Brady. Next hour, let's forget about the black man. Let's forget about the white man. Let's deal with the human from a Bible perspective, if you will. Feel free to call in at 901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. For any comments, suggestions, agreements, even disagreements we may have, we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Okay, on today's show, I really didn't have anything that was pressing on my mind or my spirit today, other than let Jesus drive your life. I let him drive your mind every day, amen. Amen. So you can use it as an open line conversation. I found one thing that just, can't say fascinates me. I'm at the point now I'm not surprised anymore. Come on. Of the different things that are trying to be passed and are being passed in our society today. Mm-hmm. Washington State has passed an ordinance, waiting on the signature of the governor of the mayor, I don't know which president to sign it, where they want to take human remains and use it as mulch, fertilizer. What? Yeah. You know, if cremation wasn't enough, then they want to use dead bodies as mulch. So where do they get dead body from? You know, that's an interesting question. Who relatives are they going to use as mulch? I wonder would they use that to offset the cost of paying for a funeral to say, okay, we'll pay you for the dead body so we can turn them into human mulch and can probably charge a high price for it. Because, you know, in China, the fetuses of aborted children, they use it as an aphrodisiac. It's a high price potent that you can take to enhance your male, what you want to say, sex drive? Yes, sex drive and performance. Libido. Mm-hmm. Let's take a listen to what's going on in Washington State and see you, if you want to talk about it, at 901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490.
Just fine. Here is the poll for today. Do you support term limits for members of Congress? How did that go? Please share your answers and opinions in the comment section below. State inches closer to allowing human remains as garden fertilizer. Washington lawmakers have approved a bill that would allow human composting. The state Senate approved SB 5001 Friday after it cleared the State House on April 9. It's unclear yet if Democratic Governor Jay Inslee will sign the bill, the Seattle Times reported. Once the law is officially transmitted to him, Inslee has 5 days to decide whether to sign it or veto it. If he signs the bill, it would take effect May 1, 2020. During the time that the bill was drafted and moved through the legislature, its supporters painted it as an option for those who want alternatives to traditional burial or cremation. People from all over the state who wrote to me are very excited about the prospect of becoming a tree or having a different alternative for themselves, said State Senator Jamie Peterson, a Democrat who sponsored the bill, according to NBC. Peterson expects Inslee, who is seeking the Democratic nomination for the presidency on his environmental record, will sign the bill into law. It would be a big surprise if he was anything but all over it, Peterson said. It's Washington doing an environmentally friendly, path-breaking thing. Conceptually, what's called recomposition puts dead bodies in a container and speeds up decomposition. The soil generated can then be used however a family might wish. It's about time we apply some technology, allow some technology to be applied to this universal human experience, both because we think that people should have the freedom to determine for themselves how they'd like their body to be disposed of, and also because we have learned over time that there are some more environmentally friendly and safe ways of disposing of human remains, Peterson said in February, according to CNN. Of all the options for the disposition of human remains, this would be by far the most environmentally friendly. It's just what used to happen before the arrival of 5,000 caskets covered with ecologically unfriendly varnishes and all the rest, Peterson said. The bill was pushed by Katrina Spade, CEO of Recompose, which wants to go into the business of human composting. Spade pushes what she said are the ecological benefits of human composting, King reported. With cremation, you have the burning of fossil fuels and the emission of carbon and mercury particulates into the atmosphere. With conventional burial, there is quite a carbon footprint from the manufacture and transport of caskets, grave liners, and then the upkeep of cemeteries, she told the station. So, you have those two options, and if people want those options, absolutely they need to remain. But recomposition uses about an eighth of the energy of cremation and also has a significant carbon reduction thanks in part from the sequestration that happens of the materials during the process. Spade said no one should be denied the post-death option of their choosing. First of all, we are trying to add one more choice for Washington folks. So, it certainly is not about making anyone do anything they don't want, Spade said. The bill follows a pilot program conducted by Washington State University on 6 donors' bodies, the Seattle Times reported. Lynn Carpenter Boggs, an associate professor of sustainable and organic agriculture at Washington State, said that after the 5-month process, it was found to be safe. The advantage that I see as a soil scientist and an environmental scientist is that it is relatively low in resource use, and it also creates this soil-like or compost-like product that helps to store carbon, Carpenter Boggs told Portland's KGW in December. During a hearing on the bill in early April, according to the Seattle Times, one supporter showed his enthusiasm for the project. I am very much in favor of the composting of human bodies, said Wes McMahon, a retired nurse from Randall, Washington. When I am done with this body that served me very well for the past 64 years, do I want to poison it with formaldehyde and other embalming chemicals? No. Burned. Not my first choice. But what about all the bacteria I've worked with so long in this body? Do I want to give them a chance to do what they do naturally? I believe in doing things as naturally as possible. Please hit that share button and share our content with others.
Wow, ain't that something? Let's pause for the call. Hello, caller, welcome to the show.
I'm jumping up.
Man, where you been?
Hey, man.
Where you been, man?
We hot to the cot, baby. We hot to the cot.
Man, somebody told me I was at the cot. I never said somebody told me that you was in liberal jail because you've been calling this radio station and proving to the world that liberals are not the right way to go, and they lock you up and they gotta reprogram you. What they lock you up for?
Let me tell you something, man. If you ever hear me in jail, tell me give me that needle. That's inhuman to put a man in a cage without a man. I couldn't do that, man. Don't kill me. I don't care if I'm in for jaywalking.
No, you can't do it. You just vote for other men to do it. Would you vote for?
But just my belief to do time. You hit the nail on the head once before. Then that's slavery.
Well, actually, illegal slavery. They did not abolish slavery. They redirected slavery. They said,
there you go.
Right. If you break the law, you become a criminal. Yes, you are legally able to be a slave in these United States. That is the law.
Exactly. So I can't be a slave. It is against my religion to be a slave.
So,
I'm a little behind.
I'm just saying we had so many things that we wanted to ask you about. What do you think about the illegal immigrant that killed the 4-month-old baby, man?
Oh, man, I ain't heard about that, man. Fill me in.
You ain't heard about it?
No.
Well, they got
I want to hear about this.
They got an illegal immigrant over in Memphis, and he found out that the 4-month-old baby was not his baby, so he beat the baby to death. And come to find out, he's been deported 5 times, and every time they deport him, he comes back over here illegally. And let me say something too about illegal immigrants. because I'm talking to a friend of mine. When I said illegal immigrants, this had nothing to do with Hispanics. In fact, I don't know all Hispanics, but every Hispanic family that I know, they are hardworking people, they are good people, and they are family people. I have nothing against Hispanic. God knows I don't. My thing is illegal immigrants. I don't care if they're Hispanic. I don't care if they come from Canada. And the key term is illegal. The Hispanics I know are good, hard-working family people. I love them. I mean, and please don't get it twisted. Okay, go ahead. What do you think about that?
I can't tell you, lover, but
okay, tell me anything you ever heard me say against them.
Sir, if you allow me, I can answer that for you.
Go ahead, I'll allow you.
The answer is build that wall. Build that wall. What about that?
To stop the illegal immigrants.
Man, they don't stop no illegals and man on more.
They might not stop them, but a burglar alarm doesn't stop people from breaking in your house, but it sure does deter them.
That old Sparky was supposed to have deterred people, but it never did. They still kill people. That's the same with abortion. If you outlaw it, sir, it's not going to stop those women from getting rid of babies. I promise you that.
I guarantee you, it'll stop them from getting rid of them at the level that they're doing since 1973. 13 million black babies. They ain't counting all babies. 13 million black babies have been aborted. I can assure you, sir, if it wasn't legal in this land, they wouldn't just haphazardly go around here having sex and killing babies at will. And they should have never been allowed to do it in the first place.
So I really wish I could talk about what I call to talk about.
What you call talk about? You got the microphone. I hope Black and Sarah listen because he going to get you. Go ahead.
Okay? Sir, you Republican.
I'm not a Republican.
Okay, I get not a Republican. You conservative Republican.
I think conservative. I'm a Christian.
Okay, conservative Christian Republican. I want to talk about infanticide.
Okay, please do. Okay, please do.
And this untruth that you're sitting around spewing, tell us half truth. That's what you're good at.
Tell me, how do I lie, sir?
Okay, let me explain. Okay, you will tell people that infanticide. You correct me, stop me when I go wrong.
Okay.
That when that baby's born, they put it on the table. Then the mom and the doctor go talk to each other about how to get rid of them.
No. When the baby's born, the mother and the doctor can consult if she wants to maintain the baby's life. They keep the baby comfortable until the mother makes that decision. If the mother is married and say the baby is born alive, the husband has no say in it whatsoever. The mother and the doctor decide if they're going to exterminate that birth. Under infanticide, the mother actually has up to 11 months and 29 days to decide if she wants to exterminate that birth.
Okay.
And New York has passed that law, and Virginia rolled out, and I'm on the fast track. Tell me what I'm wrong at.
Let me tell you where you're wrong.
Okay.
And this is what this Virginia doctor was trying to explain to you guys. But y'all won't listen. So hopefully you'll listen to this. Infanticide is this, sir. Okay? If a baby is born with a birth defect, there's no way that baby's going to survive.
No, sir. That baby does not have to have a birth defect. No, sir. Okay, go ahead. I'm putting the proof up while you're talking. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I'm going to give you an example, okay? But
Video of Governor Northam explaining the infanticide law in Virginia.
Okay. Sir, I'm going to give you two examples. One of the examples is somebody that you and I both know. We don't know him personally, but we knew of him. Okay? That was Prince. Okay? Remember him?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, the 1999 guy.
Okay.
Right? Prince and his wife had a baby. The baby could not live, sir. That birth defect was so bad that baby had no chance of living. So what they did was they made that baby as comfortable as possible for his last days. Because
there are cases that happen like that. Let me help you, sir. Okay. Less than 1%, and I repeat, less than 1% are for the life of the mother, rape or incest. In a situation like that where the baby is facing imminent death, it's the same thing as asking you, do you want to take your loved one off life support? This law is saying that just based on a decision, and I'm going to play with the governor saying himself, this law is saying that when that baby is born, infanticide, look up the definition of the word, it means that the mother has 11 months up to any 1 day less than 1 year to decide whether to exterminate the life of that child. And the father has no say-so.
And you believe that?
What do you mean believe it? That's the law. All you got to do is read it.
Sir, that is not what that law is saying.
Okay, I tell you.
If a baby is born and have no brain, okay? If baby have no brain, it was born with no brain, sir. Okay?
That means the baby's born brain dead.
Okay, that baby is not going to live.
Then you take the baby off life support. These are children that are born and they are alive. They don't, not that they can live, they are alive, and they're giving them legal authority that they can still take their life. As a matter of fact, it's funny you said that. Q's grandbaby, that baby fell into that category.
Well, should we be talking to somebody that had personal experience with this? What am I doing talking to you?
Okay, but they're gonna keep that. They're gonna keep he got his boys back there.
What I call Kevin Jones and Q-Mac. I don't talk to you.
I'm right here.
Q, could you please explain to me what happened, sir? If it's not too painful. If it's too painful, please don't try.
Well, like you got sympathy. My grandson was born brain dead, blind. He couldn't breathe on his own, and well, it was something else. There's one more thing that he had, but he didn't have no function. So he could move, but he couldn't. He couldn't feel pain. No. So they did all the tests they could. See how can they save the baby and then do something for him. But when they came to the decision, and I was with my daughter. I said, no, ain't nothing they can do. The baby don't have no brain function. He blind. He can't hear. And they took him off the breathing. He was on life support. So when they took him off, we sat there, we hold him, and let him slip on and go to heaven. How many times they asked the father what he wanted to do? None. Interesting. Zero.
Q.
Yes.
What you have just explained to this listening audience is what's called infanticide.
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes,
No.
sir.
No. No.
Everybody want to talk to you. Hey, Q.
No, that's not infanticide.
Q, it was, man.
No. The baby didn't have no chance to live.
That's the same thing that happened with Prince Kid.
We didn't kill the baby.
I get that.
These babies that they'll kill another guy, they're born, they can live on their own. They're outside the womb. They're alive. They can survive without life support. Matter of fact, you had the video up? I got the video up. Hey, other guy, we want to play the video. Can you call back? Yeah, you can call back. You get a special call back.
All right.
Now, here's Governor Northam. When he first said it on the radio, see what happened was when Cuomo passed it in New York, Northam, he got on that radio and he really explained to them what the law was passed because he really passed it in Virginia. That's why they started talking about him doing the blackface and stuff. And you notice they ain't mentioning that anymore. They had to shut him up because now we got to get this law fully passed before you let them know what we're really doing. Here it is. All because they hate Trump. Here's the interview.
It was a minute-long video posted, much longer testimony as Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran explained her bill to loosen state rules on late-term abortions. A Republican delegate pushing with this question: could an abortion be done even when a woman is dilating, ready to give birth?
I'm asking if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes. Anti-abortion activists seized on the answer, putting up the video that went viral, claiming Tran wanted to legalize abortion to the point of birth. Today, the fight center stage on the House floor. The House Speaker weighing in, condemning the measure that's similar to one recently passed in New York.
This bill will allow a mother who is showing physical signs of labor to get an abortion. We are really one small step from New York.
The Democrats leader firing back, accusing Republicans of deliberately mischaracterizing the bill, of driving a social media backlash that drew threats, forcing Tran to take down her social media feeds.
The posts clearly and the tweets were made to inflame passions throughout the social media echo chamber. What was the result? Ongoing harassment, intimidation against the patron several members of this body, their families, and their children.
Under Virginia law, third trimester abortions are already allowed, but they require consultation with 3 doctors who determine the woman could die or that her health would be substantially and irremediably impaired. Delegate Tran's bill would require just 1 doctor to sign off, among other changes. Virginia's governor, a doctor himself, explaining late-term abortions are only done in rare and very difficult situations.
This is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
Now, bills like Delegate Tran's have been introduced in past sessions, but all have been defeated by GOP-controlled subcommittees. The governor also now taking heat on social media after some of his remarks were posted without their complete context. You can see his full remarks made on WTOP's Ask the Governor on our app. Search Virginia Governor, and we also have a statement there from Kathy Tran.
All right, Julie Carey, thank you.
Now let me see when I find the one where he is doing the talking. I think this is going to be it right here. And those other guys, when they're talking about this stuff, these babies being born, they don't mention about the baby being born and they can't live and the baby is sick. It's always talking about the mother's right. They're using the key words like reproductive rights. What's reproductive about you terminating a life? This is nothing but a fight to let women and let you know that they control whether life and death is going to come into this world. Let's see. And then we'll get them up. 901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. Let's see, maybe this will be this the one. I want to get the one with him speaking. I'll go to the commercial break right quick. Yeah, they're going to go put the sheet in right quick. Let me find this for him. Let me find it. Even though tomorrow is not promised, it's wise to be prepared for it when it comes. Sheena Armstrong is the owner-operator of Insurance of Memphis, located at 3556 Hickory Hill Road. Sheena can prepare you today for what tomorrow may bring. I call it the one-stop shop for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, health, even renter's insurance. Call her at 901-303-8804. Again, that's 901-303-8804. She will get you the insurance you need to prepare you for the unexpected things that tomorrow may bring. Call her at 901-303-8804 or stop by 3556 Hickory Hill Road, Insurance of Memphis. Ask for Miss Sheena. All right, y'all. So I'm trying to find a video of the best plays just because they got several of them. I want to play the one with his comments. I noticed here's Cuomo. Let's see, let's play the one with Cuomo. Here's the one with Cuomo. When they passed this bill in New York, they literally gave this man a standing ovation. When President Trump tried to submit a bill so that it would make it against the law to kill a baby after it's born, 44 Democrats got together to block that bill and said, you're not going to stop our right for a mother to decide whether this baby lives or dies. Let's see, can we get him right here? Maybe Fox got it. In infanticide, I'm going to play that. You need to look up what the definition of this word is. Okay, here we go. I think we got it. Okay. Because we need to help the other guy. He didn't get out of jail. He would have
Himself as a pediatric neurologist, and his comments are generating swift pushback from Republican lawmakers here and pro-life groups. This is infanticide, tweeted National Right to Life, and even President Trump weighing in last night. Do you remember when I said Hillary Clinton was willing to rip the baby out of the womb? That's what it is. That's what they're doing. It's terrible. But a Northam spokesman says that his comments only pertain to instances where the fetus isn't viable or has severe deformities. And Planned Parenthood said this.
When we look at when late-term abortions happen, the vast majority of abortions in this country actually happen quite early in pregnancy. But if they do happen later, it is almost exclusively because a woman's health is at risk.
The abortion debate reignited this week with a Virginia bill that seeks to ease restrictions on late-term abortions.
Third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester.
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
The bill was defeated, but its drafters garnered heavy criticism when they admitted it would allow women to seek abortions all the way through labor and delivery. It's a similar bill to one passed last week in New York and part of a growing trend that kicked off last year in left-leaning legislatures across the nation. This year so far, New Mexico, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island have all considered new laws to strengthen abortion rights. But a recent poll finds only 15% of Americans nationwide believe abortion should be available at any time during a pregnancy. On the other side of this issue, we've got Indiana, Kentucky, North Dakota, and Louisiana among the states that are currently seeking to restrict abortion access. Ultimately, Julie, the issue may rise to the Supreme Court, but even with conservatives' solid 5-vote majority thanks to Justice Kavanaugh, there are signs now. They may not be ready to revisit Roe versus Wade just yet.
All right, Julian Turner, thank you very much.
See, that's why they was fighting against Kavanaugh getting on that bench like they did. And then for black
Also,
people,
global warming and a Democrat facing fire. Time for today's campaign.
That is one of the most saddest things in the culture I've ever seen in my life anyway. Please go look up Margaret Sanger. Look up the lady who started Planned Parenthood. It started as the Negro Project. She started because she needed to eradicate, it's called eugenics. She needed to eradicate these unwanted black babies being born because they were inferior. And now you have blacks running around for the simple reason of supporting my Democrat. Supporting a movement that they told you is to eradicate you. It's called eugenics. This stuff is easily looked up and found. 901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. Let's see. Maybe, just maybe, y'all don't understand what abortion really is. You know, you're so busy looking at it from a political standpoint and, well, you know, it doesn't matter the longer we get Donald Trump out of office, that you're not realizing all these people are presenting to you for legislation that we're going to get Donald Trump out of office. We're going to impeach Donald Trump. We hate Donald Trump. But this stuff about how they're pushing this LGBTQ movement is not gay, it's homosexual. Gay means happy. Mm-hmm. This thing where they're expanding abortion to where a woman has the right to take and just take a baby's life at will. The thing about where they're sitting around here talking about a new Green Deal, where they're going to sit around here and trick you where you can't drive your automobile anymore because it uses fossil fuel gas, and they're going to make your house solar energy, so the people that are paid off their house and now you got to refinance it with the government. You're not even realizing that the person that's going to take the biggest blunt of the economic storm from these liberal social policies that these people are hitting is black people in the church. True. Don't forget about Joe Biden now. Oh, Vice President. You know I got to play Joe in just a minute, but before I play Joe. Okay. And by the way, let me give y'all a statistic. Check it behind me. The leading cause of death among black people in America, the leading cause is not cancer, it's not AIDS, it's not even murder. It's abortion. 13 million, over 13 million black babies have been born over 1973. You had that 13 million with the population that's here right now, and the babies they would have been the majority of America. Just like Margaret Sanger said, we gotta stop them ends from growing, because they'll outnumber us. And look like it happened. Well, you know, Lyndon Baines Johnson said, once I signed the Civil Rights Bill, I had these niggas voting Democrat for 200 years. Don't look like he was far wrong. Man, make sure that you really know what happens in abortion, so that way you can't say you don't know.
False premises one after another after another. It's time to stop wasting time, get on with meaningful work, and stop picking on women and trying to take their choice away. I yield back the balance of my time.
The time of the gentleman has expired. We welcome our distinguished witnesses today. Do you and each of you swear that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And I'll now begin by introducing today's witnesses. The first witness is Dr. Anthony Levatino. Dr. Levatino is a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist. Over the course of his career, Dr. Levatino has practiced obstetrics and gynecology in both private and university settings, including as an associate professor of OBGYN at the Albany Medical College. And Dr. Levatino
we'll begin with you. Welcome. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions performed between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and a half-inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart, and lungs. Head in the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you can pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times. Sometimes the little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed your right to choose. One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions? I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever. I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg, and got sick. You know, earlier on, I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to, gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. After over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks, and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it, for the first time in my life, I really looked. I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions. Thank you.
901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. That's what y'all support. That's what your hatred of Donald Trump is worth to you. Is it really? Let's pause for the call. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for the invite.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you should take this rotation. I would be embarrassed to hear from a man that they killed 1,200 babies because he lose here. Now he has a coming to Jesus moment.
You go for politicians that kill a lot more than that, but go ahead.
I'm embarrassed for the man. I see what y'all doing too, probably. See y'all, Bob. Y'all are confusing infanticide with abortion. Someone is aborting a baby that's being infanticide. Yeah, y'all problem is.
You said what now?
You and Q are confusing infanticide with abortion.
No, we're not. You're ignoring it.
Yeah, y'all. Right? How you abort?
If infanticide is now another level of abortion, why did they have to make a new law? They already have the abortion law. Since you said they said it.
So if you listen at the Virginia governor and listen with an open ear, or listen with that Republican ear. You wasn't them liberal leaders. I know you ain't got now, but follow one. Mm-hmm. And you will understand exactly what this man is saying. That's real good. I thanks for playing that voting stuff for me and everything. I said, here they problem is. They confusing abortion with infanticide.
Oh, no, we're not. Matter of fact, I tell you what, I'm glad you're on the line. Just hold on. Let's take a listen to our president.
Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children.
The president did introduce that legislation because he has to have 60 votes for it to pass. 44 Democrats blocked it and said, no, you're not going to stop outright to kill these babies after they're born. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Do me a favor. Right? So where am I? If you want to refer me to something, do not refer me to a liar. Okay? Get that, pick up the King James Version and give me a verse. Do not refer me to a known liar.
I would be more than happy to pick up the King James Version and give you a verse. The one that says, thou shalt not kill. I mean, thou shalt not shed innocent blood.
Thou shalt not shed innocent blood.
Yeah, and that baby's innocent. That baby's innocent.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to tell you about one. Okay? I don't know his name, but I know his victim's name. Do the name James Bird ring a bell to you?
James Bird was a black man that got killed out in Texas.
Exactly. They just executed the guy that killed James Bird, one of them, last week.
Okay. What they got to do with innocent blood? What they got to do with innocent blood?
Wait a minute now.
First of all, because I'm forgiving calling. I'm forgiving calling every day. Because I got a case nigga. How many years ago has it been since James Bird got killed?
Over 20.
Over 20 years.
Over 20.
That's the biggest example you can find. To find somebody that did a sick crime over 20 years ago to compare it with you passing law to kill babies today. You better be glad I got another caller. Bye, other guy. Bye. Pause for the call. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Wow. How much money she donated to get on there and talk? I can tell you this. She's right. Yeah. They dragged that man behind the truck. And they all had should have been killed a long time ago.
I don't understand. What does James Bird die a heinous death have to do with people passing a law that you can kill a baby after it's born? I mean, I told that old con man move people use. When they don't want to answer, they change the question. That's what Democrats are doing people now. They have no legislation that applies to people whatsoever, but they come up here talking about, no, what we're going to do is, we're going to stop white supremacy. We're going to stop white supremacy. And you ask any black person walking, how exactly is white supremacy affecting your life? Because these people marching, and first of all, the numbers of those that proclaim to be neo-Nazi or white supremacy is so small and they weren't paying attention to. And second of all, this is not the laws of the land, and you sit around here and you let people come to play with your emotions, but in the process of playing with your emotions, what you don't realize that they're passing laws that are anti-God and anti-America.
They are, and they're doing it right on the noses of, ignorant means stupid. It just means uninformed, and she's very, very uninformed, apparently. Unbelievable. And I can't believe that. Unbelievable. It breaks my heart. I just talked to an 81-year-old man, and he told me some stories. Me and him just got talking for a minute. And he can't even believe what's going on back. And he an old black gentleman, if you want to know. And he is so, like, this is not there. This, we all went through our time and everything, but I'm going to tell you what, for anybody to bring that up now, it's just has nothing to do with what's going on. I'm telling you, they keep pushing it. And eventually, they ain't going to win in 2020. I've got this one. I really believe that.
I gotta move on to
what you wish for.
There you go. I gotta move to the next clip. Hey, look, for all you exterminating needs too, call Chris at Godfather Pest Control. What's that number?
901-581-5534.
That's 901-581-5534. I promise you, he's good at exterminating. He's no joke.
Amen.
Thank you, my friend. You know Joe Biden? You mentioned him earlier. So they don't want to talk about infanticide or how they're pushing these homosexual laws and stuff, the way they're indoctrinating your children at 4 and 5 years old. He's coming out because he's going to put an end to white supremacy. That's what he said, right? Right? Now, this is the same Joe Biden. Who's going to put an end to white supremacy? And made this speech before the Senate of these United States of America. Let's listen to Joe Biden, the man who's going to stop the white supremacy. Here's Joe.
There are multiples on the table. One is cash, fair FHA, one is VA. There are multiples on the table. One is cash, fair FHA, one is VA.
303-8804. Share out of your insurance needs. And Chris got your exterminating needs. 901-581-5534. Here's Joe.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they have no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
What are you talking about?
Knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I want to ask, what made them do this? They must be taken off the street. That's number one. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them.
Cadre of young people. Without any
structure, without any conscience development, because they literally, I give myself 3 more minutes. Have not been socialized.
Wow.
They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Wow.
Now, President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
Wow.
Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
They're gonna take
And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said rehabilitation. When it occurs, we don't understand it, notice it, and even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malfactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to change their behavior. That's what we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it, but they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks.
Still exists. White supremacy.
And we must deal with that.
Deal with that. Did y'all get it? People running up and falling behind a man, everybody know he's lying. I mean, he got jumped by somebody with a MAGA hat on and jump out Make America Great Again with the faggot and then put a noose around the nigga. I need to start an anti-lynching law. They got an anti-lynching law. It's called murder.
We got a call.
Paul, what's for the call?
Black conservative.
Black conservative is a bad call. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
By far, I'm the most erudite, mind, brilliant thinker and political philosopher.
Shut up. What's up, Black?
When it comes to these radical liberal Democrats, you know, Joe Biden, I call him No-Joe, or No-Go. Well, I call him No-Go. He's not going anywhere. He just jumped in a race to lose. Good for him. But, you know, he's talking about the black youth, these little career criminals that grow up and terrorize.
Wait a minute, hold up. Like, you mean tell me he was making that speech, you think he was talking about black children?
Absolutely.
Anyway, man, this is the man that just said he announced he's running for the president. He said he's going to come and eliminate this white supremacy structure. You mean to tell me that man that said he's going to eliminate white supremacy, in that speech he was calling black children predators and they need to be locked up and not rehabilitated?
Yeah, he went there.
Wow.
You don't talk to Jewish kids, but Jewish kids that way.
Wouldn't dare.
Youth or little white youth that way. He got to be talking about the blacks. You want to take somebody boo-boo to prove.
He's the champion for the black people. Black women, man, you got to be misconstruing that.
You know, but here the truth of the matter is, 88% of blacks going to vote for him regardless of what he says. He can tell them that Republicans going to put y'all all back in chains.
Oh, that's what he said. They're going to put y'all back in chains. They're trying to put you back in the slave field.
Yeah, going to put y'all back in chains and slavery, and the blacks going to vote for him. So the 88% of African Americans, that's what they call themselves, even none of them, even though they've never been in Africa and never been a slave. But anyway, they're going to vote for Joe anyway. They already talking about they're going to vote. And they misguided.
Well, what about other guys? Other guys said that they be making this stuff up about infanticide.
You know, other guy is just a little fool. He's just a black fool. So anybody listen to him, that man just a fool. He called it sound like a little a green leprechaun who's talking. Ain't nobody paying no attention to him. He's just as dumb as he can be. But he's stupid when it comes to the issues of the fact. Truth of the matter, but that's okay. Like I said, it doesn't matter if all the black 88% of blacks vote for Trump. I mean, against Trump again, like it's voted.
I don't think it's gonna be that black. I really believe that a portion of blacks anyway are waking up to the fact that number one, when they're voting for these Democrats, they're voting against their faith. You cannot tell me that you really believe that you're serving God and he's not going to have a problem with you voting for people that they telling you they passing laws for the shedding of innocent blood, to promote homosexuality, and God's not going to have a problem with that. So a lot of blacks are realizing that they're voting against their faith when they're pushing the Democratic Party. And we have no faith in government. Republicans and Democrats, they're both politicians. I get that. But at any time that you tell me that you're going to pass a law that's going to, because these laws they're passing, it's not just going to hurt the black community. It hurts America, first of all. Yeah. But it is a direct assault and a threat to the church. Yeah, they are in a dilemma. They are really, they're really fighting, wrestling in their mind. These people who, call themselves Christians and voted for Democrats, they see all this going on. They're struggling on the inside. There is some so busy hating Donald Trump, man. By my church being in that urban area, you'd be surprised how many children I had to die fuse. And I tell them, I'm not trying to get you to look at this thing the way I look at it. But don't let people put stuff in your Trump a racist. Trump ain't no good. And they got Spike Lee when he sit up there at the Oscars talking about how racist Trump is. And I got a picture right now I can send to you where he's hugged up with Donald Trump, telling everybody in the crowd, this my guy. 4 years ago, Oprah Winfrey and all of them was clamoring to be on this show, get them to come to their party, get them invite them to theirs. But now all of a sudden, Trump racist. When he wasn't racist 4 years ago, when y'all taking these pictures with him? Yeah, they're hypocrites, Pascal. They're hypocrites. But here's the truth of the matter. The 8.3% of blacks who voted for Trump last year, 2016, and the 88% of them hoodwats that voted for Hillary, let them go ahead on and vote for her again. Don't nobody care. We're going to take this 8.3% along with the other. I think you're underestimating the black populace. I believe that Trump is going to get over double digits in black support. Well, that's what I'm saying. We're going to take the 8.3%. Black folk waking up. We're going to add the other 6% with Candace Owens and her group, and Trump's going to get about 16% of the additional black vote, and all these other blacks who sit on the Democrat. Well, for me, it ain't even really about pushing Donald Trump. Donald Trump just happens to be the man that God is using right now. I'm trying to wake up the spiritual conscience of America, be they black or white. Y'all, this country is getting away from God, and there is a consequence to pay for that. Well, so true. We don't need the black vote. We got enough black votes for the president. We don't need not a black vote, not a Christian vote. But jumping on black people, you get too much of a joy jumping on black people. We got enough black liberal Democrats vote for the president. You got more white liberal Democrats than you got black Democrats. Do you know that? I'm just talking about the ones who don't want to vote for them. Just tell them every time they whine and say, "Hey." How many always beat up on black people? We don't need their vote. You like beating up on black people? On my president. They beat up on my president all the time, call him names, racist and stuff. Anderson Cooper and Rachel Maddow, they beat up on him. You don't never jump on them. Yeah, I got her all packed up on 3 to 2. Rachel Maddow's not fat. Huh? Rachel Maddow's not fat. I'm thinking about April. Yeah, but April Brown. I don't like her. Down lemon, they get on the look, I ain't got much time, but Ricky told me next time you come on the show, because he give us a concert up. We ain't heard you sing yet. Go ahead, give us some. Well, let me just say this here, Pastor guy. Oh, sing. All right. I'm going to sing this time I call in. No, you got to sing this time. Ricky listening, man. This is your audition. He wants to start Ricky and the Billettes. Sing, Black, sing. Black, gone. 901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. Let's pause for the call. Hello, Carl. Welcome to the show. Hey, what's going on, guy? Hey, what's going on, sir? Y'all got me excited. You got excited? I got excited because y'all got stuff killing us up there, man. You got black conservatives up there racing against his own people. And y'all talk about Trump can be racist. Most of us are racist. You know, you use people. People use people. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. I'm sure Malcolm was racist, but he had a good slave after taking all the country. I thought he thought Jim was the best Negro out there in the field. But he didn't like him. He didn't pay him. You know what I'm saying? So just because you
you're against another race of people, don't mean you can't be friendly toward them or use them or take a picture with them.
Interesting.
Interesting. I mean, it's in my mind, it's a fact. I mean, because everybody harbors some type of racism. As you see, we just experienced that with black.
So what you're saying is true. Everybody harbors some type of racism. Let's just throw race out the window. Then that means that all we got to deal with now is the issues. Am I correct?
Well, that is issues, and I know that Trump promotes most of the issues that the evangelicals want, even though he don't walk that walk in his personal life.
What about yourself? What about yourself? Do you promote the issues that the evangelicals want?
I try to. I found, but I don't create policy. I vote for people, but I don't make the policy.
No, but when you vote for people, don't you vote for people that are going to pass policies that go along with your faith?
Yeah, and that's why I vote for their candidates, regardless if it's a Democrat or a Republican.
Who you vote for in the last election?
Which one?
The last one. The last presidential election.
I ain't really vote for neither one of them.
Okay. What about when Obama was running?
Well, I voted for Obama because the first time he said he wasn't for gay marriage and all that stuff. So so I felt like he pretty much lined up better with my views than a Mormon. I know that was the second time. Then who he run against first?
John McCain.
McCain, oh yeah. Well, and McCain was all right. He was a honorable man.
Well, he was all right when he was a rebel, but McCain changed, and then when he picked Sarah Palin, and I heard that moment. I can see Russia from my house. And I'm like, oh, no, man.
Yeah, that was an error right there.
So did you vote for Obama the second time?
Yeah, I voted for him. Because that's the Mormon guy. I mean, what is a Mormon?
I don't care for Mitt Romney either. But I did not vote for Obama the second time. I think that's the only time that I actually did. I don't know if I did write-in or I voted for the independent, but that's the only time I didn't vote for a mainstream candidate because I didn't care for either of those two.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt with the Hillary and the Trump thing. I was like, both of those are.
But what about now? The stuff the Democrats are trying to pass now, man. Where do you stand on that?
As far as
the LGBTQ rights.
They're going too far to the left. Honestly, I don't like Trump, but I don't like how far to the left the Democrats.
See, they're going to fuck up the Democratic Party today. It ain't the Democratic Party that they had back in the 70s. Man, we out of time, so you got to call back tomorrow, man. Enjoy the conversation.
You do.
God bless. I love y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. We got a great guest tomorrow, Dr. Sharon Griffin. She's over at iZone, a part of the school system. They got somebody that has some working in the Shelby County School. I don't know why they don't use her plan, but she'll be here tomorrow. Tune in.